Morning, everybody. It's Jackie Veramontes here, and it's our little Saturday morning ritual, or Saturday morning practice. And I have a practice for you that I hope feels relevant because I'm doing it based off of something I used to do when I was in private practice all the time, and it's really speaking into a theme. So if you're a practitioner or if you work in mental health or healing, you probably have this too, where themes arise. And I've, no joke, had three friends, two clients, a random stranger on social media, and a family member all bringing up this idea of soul ties, cord cutting. So have you heard of soul ties or cord cutting? So cord cutting is a really widespread practice that's been around in multiple religions, multiple spiritualities, multiple fields of psychology. And it's this idea that we can become connected, two souls can become connected, whether it's you and your ex-boyfriend, you and a sibling, you and a boss. And sometimes those connections can become toxic, codependent, dependent. And when they become toxic and unsupportive, we want to cut them. And that's the practice of cord cutting. So you might hear this in the language of Brene Brown's boundaries. You might hear it in Christian prayer. Archangel Michael is known for being able to break soul ties, and there's specific prayers to Michael to break soul ties with people where there's toxic connection. You may have seen it in witchcraft or ancestry work or deep energetic work where we picture soul ties being cut or cords being cut, and it's really visual and magical. So whether you're science-minded, psychology-minded, spiritual, magical, cord cutting is really important. And I love talking about things that sound really mystical, magical, and really grounding them. So I'm gonna just ground it in what's the energetics. This is our energy psychology lesson. What's the energetics of a soul tie so that you could explain it in a really matter-of-fact way? Here's the thing, and I'll start with an analogy. I went to Syracuse University and we had a huge business school. I'd say 80% of my friends were in that business school, and a lot of them majored in supply chain. So if you're not familiar, supply chain is where does a company go for their supplies? So where does McDonald's go for their sugar, dairy, fake dairy, potatoes, oil? You're like, where do you go for your supplies? Where does Home Depot go for the wood, for the wrenches, for the cabinets, for the fridges? What's your supply chain? We have a supply chain as individuals. Where do I go to feel valuable? Do I go to my boss? Do I go to my social media account and look at my likes? Do I go to my children and see how needed or dependent they are from me? What makes me feel valuable? Or where do I go for my sense of confidence? Could be those same things. Do I go for the affirmation of friends? Do I go to the mirror and look at my appearance or my lack of? Where do I go for my confidence? A really common thing that happens for everyone is, where do I go for my sense of security? Do I go look at my bank statement? Do I go look at, again, the affirmations of clients? Do I go look at my schedule and I need a plan that's set in place and that makes me feel secure? So where do I go for the supplies I need? What is your supply chain? And here's the thing, whenever we have a supply chain that the top thing is not ourselves or our higher source, there's a toxic dependence there. So if I need to go to my partner to feel confident, there's an insecurity that's going to arise, a codependence, because then if my partner's having a bad day, if he's going through some inner work and projecting on me, that's gonna affect my confidence. And in a secure supply chain, we don't want our supply to be affected by someone else's ability to produce, right? We want a secure supply chain. So in cord cutting or soul tie breaking, we want to go, where's my supply chain weak? Where's there an unsupportive supply chain? And how can I reconnect it to a more supportive source? So can I go to my highest self for my sense of confidence? Can I go to spirit for my sense of confidence or my sense of security? If I go to my bank account, I'm always checking it, and if it dips below, or I go to my budget tracking sheet and if it's off balance, I feel insecure with my security. that's a cord that I want to cut with me and my profit loss sheet, me and my bank account. So I want to go and say, I'm going to take away that cord I have attached from me and my security to my bank account. I'm going to re-hook it up to God. Or I'm going to re-hook it up to the universe that provides for me. Maybe you go for a sense of power, a sense of sexuality. Maybe you call to mind an ex, and this ex keeps coming up in your mind because they fed you with this feeling of being beautiful, sexy, powerful. And they come up in your dreams, they come up, and that supply chain, you're going to them for that sense of power, that sense of life, that sense of sexuality. Is that a stable supply chain, especially if that person's toxic? No. Can we hook up to Mother Nature? Can we hook up to our own divine feminine? What can we hook up to that's a more stable source? So I want you to think about cord cutting as a way to look at, where am I feeling toxic? Where am I feeling dependent, codependent, insecure? And maybe it means I have an insecure supply and I need to change my supply chain. And usually it's about hooking up to your higher self, your source, the universe. Just trust your community. So it's not all on one person. So what you'll do this week is I have an exercise, a reflective journaling exercise. And you can use the meditation for this as well, where you're going to look, what do I have an insecure connection to? And it could be a thing like a bank account, but for this purpose, you might choose a person like an ex or a boss or a partner, past or present, a family member, past or present. And what you're gonna do is list, what do they provide for you? Do they provide that safety? Do they provide confidence? Do they provide a sense of play and adventure? Do they provide freedom and sustenance? Like, did they monetarily provide for you? Did they affectionately provide for you? And then you're gonna notice, well, how does that make me feel? Maybe what they provided made you feel secure and free, and you feel like without them, you can't have security or freedom. Or maybe they made you feel beautiful and confident, or sexy and powerful. How did that make you feel, right? Sexy and powerful. And without them, you have struggled to feel that way. So in your reflective journaling, you're gonna notice, how did that source make me feel? And then what you're gonna do, and this is the most important, is you're gonna write, how else could I cultivate those feelings? So we're de-hooking from that insecure supply and making a new supply chain that's more stable, more secure. How else could I feel sexy and powerful besides having to be attached to the affirmation of this person? How else could I feel secure, stable, financially free, independent without the source of this person, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna unhook from those unstable sources and make your new supply chain. And energetically what that does is say, I don't need you for this source. You can be part of my life. You could be part of my relationship dynamic still, but they don't have to be part of your supply chain, right? Okay, so there's gonna be people past or present, things past or present, situations past or present. And when we break free, when we cut those cords, we become more empowered, because energy is all about where we put our power. So instead of putting our power in something that's taking it or dependent, we're taking it back within ourselves, so we're not needy, and we're moving it here. It also takes it back, lack mentality, because if we only can find something from one person, that's lack, that's scarcity, because if that person goes away, our needs are unmet. So it takes back power energetically, but it also rewrites scarcity mentality and helps us just cognitively, on a psychological perspective, it helps us go, I can get these needs met in other ways. And when we're in fight or flight, there is scarcity mentality. So use the EFT meditation for this to help you. If you have questions, let me know, but go gently with yourself. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments. But we're in it together. I hope this resonates. It seems to be a theme that's coming up. And if you have other themes that you want me to explore, just direct message me, and I'd love to make a lesson and meditation just for you and share it with the community.